When you think of the great pro wrestling trilogies, a few instantly spring to mind. Flair vs. Steamboat 1989, Joe vs. Punk 2004, Omega vs. Okada 2017. The wrestling trilogy is a staple of the industry because of the beautiful roundness of 3. It gives a sense of clear closure, an opportunity for progression, and if you're a promoter, the chance to make that sweet, sweet rematch money. But there's one wrestling trilogy that I want to talk about that's been bubbling at the surface for the past few years. The hardcore fans have seen it and sing its praises, but it's still mostly unknown in the wider world of wrestling. So today, we're going to 3-2-1 Battle to see the trilogy between Timothy Thatcher and Daniel Makabe. A trilogy of solid steel. Founded in 2012, 3-2-1 Battle is an independent promotion based in Seattle, Washington that prides itself on attracting non-wrestling fans to its shows. A quick glance at their product tells us why they're able to do this. There's a lot of humor, strangeness, and fun up and down the card that brings the show closer to a comedic variety show as opposed to just a straight-up wrestling card. Lifeguards as referees, live commentary performed to the audience in attendance. It's a lot of unconventional indie silliness that has its own charm and place in the world. But that's not to say there isn't any great standard wrestling on the card. One person that made his name in 3-2-1 Battle working as a more straight-laced worker is Daniel Makabe. Makabe is a bit of a legend of the deepest underground scenes of wrestling. Having made a name for himself early in his career doing backyard wrestling, Makabe has been building a steady reputation as one of 3-2-1 Battle's most reliable workers. Unassuming as he may look in his football jerseys, his skinny frame, and Crispin Glover-esque hair, Daniel Makabe became known in 3-2-1 Battle as a promising ring technician, able to bring the goods on the mat once the bell rang. That reputation brings him to the main event of 3-2-1 Battle's first ever Wet Hot Seattle Summer event. His opponent? A member of Ringkampf alongside Walter and a former Evolve champion, Timothy Thatcher. As a member of Ringkampf at the time, Thatcher is the embodiment of the group's slogan, Die Matte ist heilig, or in English, the mat is sacred. The differences between Daniel Makabe and Timothy Thatcher are stark. Thatcher seems to have absolutely zero body fat on his body. He is pure, hard muscle with one of those mean faces that just screams toughness. He's a world-traveled master of the independent wrestling scene by this point, and his very presence is overwhelming and intimidating compared to Makabe's somewhat more reserved and cautious body language. Thatcher also makes his thoughts on the 3-2-1 Battalion's antics quite clear. He yells at the lifeguard meant to officiate the match, demanding that he wants a real referee for this match. That's classic heel heat, and perfectly in tune with his character as well. Before the bell sounds, everything is clear. Makabe may be good, he may be the best 3-2-1 Battle has to offer, but Thatcher is on another damn level. Makabe seems aware of this too, as he comes out swinging as soon as the bell rings, nailing his pitcher's punch to get a quick 2 count. The quick start does little to slow Thatcher, however, who is able to ground Makabe and outdo Makabe on the mat. Though Makabe stays in the fight trying to go hold for hold with Thatcher, Thatcher stays cool and smoothly counters whatever Makabe has to offer. Makabe creates an opening by kicking in Thatcher's arm, but Thatcher stays on his game, again grounding Makabe. So powerful is Thatcher on the mat that Makabe is the first to need a rope break to save him in the match. This is a concession on Makabe's part that in that moment, He had no answer for what Thatcher was throwing at him. Despite this, Makabe earns a similar concession after locking on a heel hook on Thatcher that forces him to reach for the ropes. Now let's take a moment to point out Thatcher's amazing facial expressions in this match. In the past, I've seen criticism of Thatcher as boring or uncharismatic, but in this match, he's really able to project as a cruel, dangerous heel set to stretch Daniel Makabe's life away. Thatcher stays in control, with Makabe getting his brief flashes of hope in. Makabe's moxie drives Thatcher to start dropping him with some brutal suplexes, but Daniel is able to fight back with some heavy strikes and going after the arm that he damaged early in the match. This allows Makabe to nail a big back suplex that for the first time puts him in control for the match. Makabe grabs a cattle mutilation and an octopus hold before Thatcher cuts off an attempt at a baseball punch with a sleeper hold and a double underhook suplex. But Makabe won't stay down. It's at this point that Thatcher realizes he's in for a much bigger fight than he had intended. Thatcher starts showing a greater sense of urgency, grabbing submissions to try and tap out Makabe, but Makabe keeps finding counters to stump Thatcher. A pair of cradles gets followed up with a brutal headbutt to the spine, which sets up the seated Makabe lock, and Thatcher tapping out. Makabe survived the war, then powered through to get a submission victory. This is a fantastic piece of work, an underdog story with one of the most satisfying finishes possible. The mat work is snug, full of struggle, and Makabe's journey from overwhelmed small-time indie wrestler to overcoming one of the top names in the world via submission is an entirely compelling and effective one. 4.25 stars for me. After the match, Thatcher addresses the crowd.
This scarf says the Mata is heilig, which in German means this mat is sacred. If someone here in 3-2-1 battle that believes this mat is sacred is Daniel Makabe.
This moment will change Makabe forever. A year has passed, and now we're at 3-2-1 Battle's Wet Hot Seattle Summer 2. But a lot has changed in a year's time. The victory over Thatcher has taken Makabe to the next level, and Thatcher's validation has raised his confidence as well. With a new attitude and all the momentum in the world, Makabe works his way to the 3-2-1 Battle Solid Steel Championship. Now, at the same event where he had the most important victory in his life, Makabe must once again take on his maestro, Timothy Thatcher. As Makabe makes his entrance, we see his new attitude at play. He wears the ring camp scarf and demands that the lifeguards set to officiate the match leave the ring, a brilliant little reversal from last year's match. He now sees himself as above the 3-2-1 battalion. And yes, that is AEW referee Aubrey Edwards officiating this match under the name Girl Hebner. Indie companies are weird, man. The bell rings and Thatcher again stays mostly in control. He forces Makabe to go to the ropes for the first time and stretches him out on the mat. However, he makes an early mistake when he hurts his neck on a snap vertical suplex. Makabe spots this and drives Thatcher into the turnbuckle, following up with a sick elbow to the back of the head. For the first time, Makabe has Thatcher on the back pedal, and Makabe actually gets to have an extended control segment working over Thatcher's neck. A cravat, strikes, and a big back suplex allow Makabe to brutalize Thatcher's neck and stay on top. Now, Makabe isn't only surviving Thatcher, but is actively pressing an advantage over him. After trading armbar attempts on the mat, Thatcher is finally able to halt Makabe's momentum with Makabe's own leg trap German suplex. Thatcher goes back to the arm in an attempt to ground Makabe, but a head scissors lock on the neck brings Makabe back into control. Again, we see Thatcher's physical charisma at play, only this time as a spirited babyface against Makabe's smarmy heel. A big flurry of open palm strikes and a back suplex, however, allow Thatcher a comeback. Makabe is a slippery customer though, fighting for a crossface to crank on the neck, then following up with a straitjacket German suplex to get an incredibly close 2 count. Fully in control, Makabe goes in for the killing blow. A headbutt to the spine, followed up with the seated Makabe lock, but Thatcher came prepared, countering the hold that defeated him last year. Thatcher runs wild, allowing his emotions to get the better of him as he gets distracted with referee Girl Hebner. Makabe drills Thatcher with successive drop kicks and then nails his baseball punch, but Thatcher kicks out, using a final burst of energy to grab a Fujiwara armbar for the submission victory and redemption for his loss last year. An awesome match that built on everything they'd done the year before, including Thatcher finding the key to countering the seated Makabe lock. The reversal of characters makes this even richer, as you get a keen sense of the time gone by, even without knowing the exact trajectories of either man's career. 4.5 stars for this one. That finally brings us to July of 2019, the 3rd annual Wet Hot Seattle Summer, and it just wouldn't be complete without Daniel Makabe versus Timothy Thatcher. At this point, both men have lost many things over the year. Thatcher has lost a partner as Walter commits most of his time to the WWE. Makabe has lost his Solid Steel Championship. But in many ways, these losses have only made them both more complete wrestlers. Before either man has the chance to comment, 3-2-1 Battle send a formal referee to officiate the match. At the sound of the bell, Makabe charges at Thatcher's corner for a big boot, the same way Thatcher did to him in their first encounter. A sign that Makabe has only gotten even closer to matching Thatcher. When Makabe and Thatcher grapple on the mat, Thatcher no longer feels like the clear favorite. Now more than ever, you get a sense that Makabe has progressed as a wrestler, finding counters to holds Thatcher had used on him just the year before. Makabe finds no need for rope breaks in their opening exchanges. It's only when Thatcher ups the ante with a big kick to the face and a brutal ground and pound does Makabe have to force a rope break. Thatcher didn't get the better of Makabe on the mat, but instead resorted to bigger bombs to force Makabe's hand. There's a lot more standing wrestling done in this match as opposed to previous matches, as Thatcher goes to the strikes and suplexes early in order to gain the advantage. In fact, both men rely far more on their suplexes to cut off their opponent's momentum as more and more they find themselves to be equals on the mat. Once they do engage in grappling though, Thatcher and Makabe both doggedly attack targets on each other's bodies to soften them up for the finish. Makabe attacks Thatcher's neck to ready Thatcher up for the Makabe lock, while Thatcher goes after Makabe's arm, recalling the Fujiwara that put away Makabe in 2018. Resilient and determined, Makabe fights to grab the seated Makabe lock on Thatcher. Unable to counter this time, Thatcher is forced to go for the ropes. In desperation, Makabe unleashes on Thatcher with a slugfest on their feet. Thatcher fires up, but Makabe nails 2 baseball punches in a row to drop Thatcher. Thatcher rises up, however, and grabs the Fujiwara armbar, the same counter that put Makabe away in 2018. Makabe rolls through though, countering the hold that defeated him last year, but Thatcher maintains control on the mat. Thatcher goes to lock in an STF, but relinquishes the hold to go after the arm yet again. That brief moment of indecision allows Makabe to snatch back control, headbutting Thatcher in the spine and following it up with a stiff baseball punch to the neck and a sick stomp on the leg. Makabe ties up Thatcher's legs for the Makabe lock pie to force Thatcher to tap out and win him the rubber match in their series. This is the perfect end to their series, building and building on what they'd achieved the 2 years before and bubbling up to a finishing stretch filled with tension, excitement, and struggle. A lot of people like to talk about wrestling as human chess, but few people portray that quite so brilliantly as Daniel Makabe and Timothy Thatcher. 4.5 stars for me, one of the best matches of 2019 and a brilliant capper to their trilogy. After the bell, Makabe addresses the crowd.
This scarf says Die Mata is heilig, which means in German, and I've got terrible German as you can tell, this ring is holy or sacred, and the man who knows us better than anyone in the world, the person I consider to be my maestro, the person without him, I don't have a career. Best wrestler in the world, Thatcher.
These three matches more than deserve their place in the discussion of great wrestling trilogies. While it's definitely known among more hardcore circles of wrestling fandom, it's a trilogy that's still undiscovered in some of the wider wrestling community. In fact, I have videos on this channel that currently have more views than the third match in 2019, which I think is a great injustice. Few trilogies have the same brilliant learned psychology and cohesion of elements that this matchup did, and it's honestly a wonder that Thatcher and Makabe had the opportunity to craft this story over 3 years. It's a trilogy that holds up as strongly as solid steel. Do me a favor, guys, and watch these matches. They're linked in the description below, absolutely free of charge, absolutely legal on 321 Battles YouTube page. Thatcher and Makabe would actually wrestle a fourth time, just a few weeks after Wet Hot Seattle Summer 3, this time for WXW's Ambition 11 tournament in Toronto. And if you want to see my quick video review of that match, you can head on over to my newly opened Ko-fi page, kofi.com/Joseph Montecillo. If you're feeling generous and you want to support the channel, then you can buy me a coffee, either a one-time tip, or if you're feeling generous, you can even do a monthly subscription to really help support the channel. But just to clarify, don't worry, the bonus video is absolutely free for everyone out there right now, but you have to find the link posted on my Ko-fi page. Again, the bonus video is completely free, but if you guys want to help me out, you want to help support the channel, feel free to buy me a coffee, feel free to become a monthly subscriber, and if you do, I will certainly put your name in the credits of each video and personally thank you on the following videos. You guys are great. Thank you so much for supporting. Leave a comment down below. Give the video a like. Share it with all your friends. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. And extra thank you, by the way, to the person who anonymously gifted me a Ko-fi Gold membership. Do not know who you are. Thank you. It means so much. You guys have been brilliant. Thank you and have a good one.